This is Coordinator's Corner, presented by JCW's, The Burger Boys.
Welcome inside historic Folsom Field. A rematch of the 2024 Alamo Bowl. Brings it down. Brought down by Jack Kelly. Wide open. Touchdown. Hagan houses it. Touchdown Cougars.
Hello, Cougar Nation. Welcome back inside Studio B at the BYU Broadcasting Building in Provo, Utah for our Week 5 edition of Coordinator's Corner, our weekly BYU football conversation with the Cougars coordinating coaches. Coming up on today's broadcast, we will look back at Saturday night's thrilling 24-21 win at Colorado. With the victory, BYU now 4-0 for a second consecutive season and ranked 23rd now in the AP poll. This week, the Cougs are back home under the Friday night lights to host West Virginia. Coming up on today's show, we are visiting with BYU's defensive and offensive coordinators, and we start things off with BYU's DC safeties coach and associate head coach, Jay Hill. We kick off on the defensive side of the ball. Hi, Coach. How you doing?
So good to be with you.
All right. BYU hadn't played at Colorado since 1981. But you'd been to Folsom Field before. Historic, unique venue, and a full house on Saturday night.
It was a great crowd. It's a hard place to play. It gets good and loud in there. They got great fans. And just back-to-back road games, that was a tough environment to go into.
And yet, everywhere you go, you know you're going to see a lot of this. That's always a comforting thing to have that big sea of royal blue wherever you go.
You know what? It's amazing when you're driving into the stadium and you see all the BYU fans walking on the sidewalks, and then when you first get into the stadium and they all know your name and they're there cheering and supporting. Our fans are amazing.
Kalani said post-game that what happened in the bowl game was going to kind of remain in Colorado's minds, and he felt that the Buffs would be playing for some pride in light of what happened in San Antonio.
Oh, I don't care what you say. Revenge factors are real. We've lost games before, and we as coaches use it, the players use it. And if you have any pride in yourself after a loss like what happened in the bowl game, you're going to come fighting back with everything you got, and they did. They gave us their best shot early. I think we weathered it mostly good, and then I really like how we responded, the end of the second quarter through the rest of the game.
What did you think you'd be getting from a Colorado team that was missing two pretty good running backs coming into this one?
Well, we knew they had something for us, and we thought it was going to be number 6 playing some running back. The quarterback is very athletic. We thought he would carry the ball a little bit more. Coach Sanders has been around football for a long time, and then Coach Shermer, their offensive coordinator. I mean, the guy's been a head coach in the NFL 3 different times and an offensive coordinator 5 different times in the NFL. They know what they're doing, and they know how to handle injuries, and we knew they were going to come out with something good with it for us.
Speaking of injuries, on the flip side, in a good sense, you got Justin Kirkland into your lineup for the first time this season. What do you expect him to bring to BYU's defense this year?
Well, he just makes us bigger, a little more stout. I think that combined with where Keanu's at and JT's at and Anisi Purcell. I think now we have 4 D tackles that we feel really good about. It should only strengthen our depth and how we play inside.
How did you want to manage Justin's reps on Saturday in Boulder?
Well, we knew he wasn't going to get a lot. We were thinking probably 8 to 15 or something, somewhere in there. We wanted him to get his feet wet, but he's not practiced a lot. He's not run a lot on that knee, so it's not like you want to chuck him in there at 30, 40 reps, and we knew we weren't going to do that.
This would be the kind of thing, though, you kind of ramp up over games here?
Yeah, it should be something that continues to climb.
Okay. 4th straight game with a coin toss win for BYU, so we knew that your defense would be on the field first. We'll see some plays from the first drive as you tell us what you were seeing in real time in that first Colorado possession.
Okay. Yeah.
And you said you mentioned Draylon Miller. That you thought you might see some running back with him, and they did have some direct snap with him in this game.
Yeah, so this was an interesting play right off the bat. They're in an illegal formation, and they complete a big ball. And then we knew something critical about this game was containing the quarterback and just make sure we keep him in the box, and we did not do a good job of that early on. We were coming out of our pass rush lanes. We knew that was going to be a critical phase of the game, just kind of containing him, and we didn't do a good enough job the first 2 drives.
The second Colorado drive was a shorter one than the first one, but the second Colorado, we're going to get into the second drive here in a second, but the second drive ended the same way. So 10 minutes in, and Colorado itself a 14-0 lead, and it was still pretty early.
Well, I mean, that happens in college football, right? I think back to the Arkansas game a couple years ago where they got up 14-0 on us. We've had games where we jump up 14 and then the team comes back. A football game is long. 60 minutes is a long time. You can't just gauge it off the first 5 minutes or the first 10 minutes. And I thought our guys did a good job. After this, we were on our heels a little bit, and then after that touchdown, we responded. It wasn't the start that any of us wanted, obviously. I'm proud of the players, how they responded once it happened.
So they had snapped exactly 15 plays on their way to the 2 touchdowns. I'll bring that up because we hear a lot in the game of football about 15-play scripts to start games. Do you think you were seeing a bit of a script, and it's turned out to be 15 plays, as it turned out?
Well, 100%. I mean, they came out with what they feel is going to be most effective against us. Coach Shermer did a good job of changing up what they had shown in the bowl game versus what they did in this game. They really hadn't shown some of the imposter stuff where they had a wide receiver playing quarterback. They hadn't shown that yet this year. So they did a couple things that were new. Again, keeping the quarterback in the pocket was going to be a big deal, and we didn't do a good job of that. I think game speed is always different than what you practice against. And when we saw it live, we got off guard a little bit, and we need to do a little better job of being cleaner those first 15 plays.
Okay, in those first 2 drives, Colorado gained 137 yards. Then they gained only 154 over the final 8 possessions, with only 1 more scoring drive. After the first couple of series, you and your guys really settled in.
Well, I thought the players did a really good job at just kind of, okay, this has happened. It's not ideal. It's not what we wanted. Now, how do we respond? And I think we did a good job after that. We had started so fast in so many games. This one kind of caught us off guard, like, oh my gosh, they're moving the ball. Well, we're facing good offenses in the Big 12. There's going to be times where people drive a little bit on us. We needed to handle that a little more stoutly early on.
After BYU got on the board to make it 14-3 late in the first quarter, I thought what happened on the Buffs' 3rd series was pretty important. CU was in scoring territory to kind of keep that scoring thing going for them until 2 sacks took them out of field goal range.
Yeah, those were huge plays in this game. That's kind of what flipped momentum back in our favor, got our guys believing, okay, if we just do what we're supposed to do, we're going to be in a good spot. Faletau right here just looks outstanding. Good trigger on the quarterback there. And then obviously Jack, he's so much faster than most quarterbacks think. His closing speed on him is really elite. So.
And even, we may not see it at this moment, but later in the game when on the Glasgow pick, the closing speed that Jack had on that play to force the throw when it came was impressive.
Exactly right. And that's such a huge component to our pass rush is Jack's one of our best pass rushers, but a lot of times it comes on things like this where he's actually spying the quarterback.
What can you say about the season Jack Kelly is having so far? He's top 10 nationally right now in both sacks and tackles for loss.
Well, Jack Kelly, you guys know what I feel about him. I think he's one of our best players for sure. I think he's an NFL caliber talent. He's got an unbelievable first 4 steps to the ball, and we love him as a player, as a person. Everything about Jack Kelly, he represents what BYU's all about, in my opinion, and our fans should be super happy to have him here, obviously.
Can you take us back to how you got him with you at Weber State?
Well, originally, you know, he was committed to Utah State, and then they had a coaching change, and we loved him all along, and I knew he was one of our favorite guys. And so I did everything we could to get him at Weber State. And then when he came in, it was evident, like he was one of our strongest guys. He was one of our fastest guys. And I just knew it was only a matter of time before he became one of our best players. And he's showing that now, exactly what we thought he was going to be coming out of high school. He's just phenomenal.
To get somebody who is at an FCS level that is a P4 talent, that's quite a story.
It is a great story. But Jack's been that way his whole life. I mean, when he was 13 years old, he was like a world champion BMX bike racer. And his competitive nature, even from a young age, came out, continues to come out now. And again, I still think he's scratching the surface at linebacker on what he's going to become. I wouldn't be surprised one day if he's one of the best linebackers in the NFL. Wow.
And BYU already has arguably the best linebacker in the NFL in Fred Warner.
They do. Fred's representing very well.
And on that note, you could argue best wide receiver in the NFL in Puka Nacua.
Yeah. So
let's say best punter, maybe Ryan Rico. Hey, there's a bunch of good things happening.
So many good things happening right now in the program and with former players that have been through the program, and just everything Coach Kalani's built and sustained over the years. There's been so much about this program that's special, and I think, again, the future's so bright. I just think we're still climbing a mountain that's going to get better.
Let's get back into the game a bit. You're down 14-3 in this one. BYU scores a touchdown to make it 14-10 just before the half. Interesting play, though, on the final play of the first half. Caden Salter takes a straight back pedal and throws the ball out of bounds. And normally, you're going to see an intentional grounding penalty on that, but it wasn't a penalty called on Saturday night. Any insight on that?
Well, that was fourth down, and we called timeout specifically for the thing that they were going to have to either punt the ball or they were going to have to do something. He is definitely in the pocket.
Right.
He's definitely in the pocket. That's intentional grounding.
Right.
There's no wide receivers in the area. And
now they discuss it. The officials got together to discuss it, but nothing happened.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm not an official,
now,
but to me, that's intentional grounding. That should have been an untimed down, and we get to kick a field goal at the end.
The only interpretation I could make is that it wasn't a defensive penalty, which is an automatic untimed down, and this didn't fall into the range of penalties that equate to untimed downs on the offensive side. That may have been what they discussed and thought the flag would be inconsequential, so they didn't throw it.
So that's not how I have it understood. To me, it's fourth down. That's
change of possession.
It's a change of possession on fourth down. On third down, obviously you can do that. On fourth down, should have been a change of possession. I think we should have been able to kick it.
Okay. You're trailing 14-10 at the break with that weirdness at the end, but you knew you were getting the ball to start the second half, so you could kind of reset as a team that way. How did you feel about the first 30 minutes overall?
Well, so one thing I'll say, I think our offense and our offensive staff, those guys are phenomenal. They did a good job of moving the ball all the first half, and we got 10 points out of it, but in reality, I thought they had controlled the ball so well. We were getting the ball to start the second half. We all felt like we were in a great spot with what the offense was doing. And all night, they controlled the ball. They took care of the ball. They managed the ball. They ran the ball. I can't say enough about how the offense handled this game. Just if they play like that, we're going to have really good defense and we're going to have really good outcome.
Let's get into the second half of Saturday's game. BYU trailed 14-10 at the break. The first time your defense takes the field in the second half, Coach, 3 and out. Very solid.
Well, that was the huge start that we needed. We needed to get off the field quickly. We needed to get the offense, the ball back. Like I said, we had talked to them at halftime about how well the offense was moving the ball. We needed to do our part and get out of that first drive, and I thought they responded very well.
So as hoped for, a 3 and out, and you do your job. Following the 3 and out, offense came out, drove 74 yards for the lead. Finally a lead in this game at 17-14. What great battle back from your guys down 14-zip.
Well, absolutely. And again, I thought the play calling on offense was great. I thought the way they managed the clock was very good. It's a long game. We talked about that earlier in this episode, that just it's a long game. Keep playing, keep doing your job. We can battle back. We're going to be okay.
Colorado's one sustained drive of the second half restored the Buffs' lead at 21-17. Early fourth quarter, BYU retakes the lead 24-21. Then a really key play in the ensuing Colorado drive. They had a 3rd and 3 from their own 32, and Isaiah Glasker came up really, really big in that situation.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was a critical situation. Just that could have been the play of the game late, where, Glasker's chasing him down. We miss him at the start, and then we come back here. I mean, these are huge changes of field position, obviously. And that pinned him, that flip field position, that got us kind of where we needed to be.
Isaiah lays out, has to get off the ground, and lays out again. Never let go of his objective there.
Yeah, no, that's a great job by him just staying with what he needed to get done and making a huge play.
Isaiah Glasker is top 25 nationally in tackles for loss. He and Jack Kelly are as dynamic a linebacking duo as we've seen come through BYU.
Well, you guys have heard me pub those guys, and I believe in those guys. They've made a lot of plays at BYU over the last 2 years. I do think they're some of the best. Now, they got to stay humble and keep working, because about time you start believing is when you're going to get humbled. But I think these guys are playing at a very high level. Coach Anna's done a great job with them.
What's their great similarity between each other, and where are they just a little bit different that gives you a lot to go to?
No, I think they're different. They can both rush the passer. That way they're similar. I think Jack is a little bit better in the box as far as rushing the quarterback, doing some things like that. And Glasker's just a playmaker out in space. He's great in coverage, which you see in his interception at the end of the game. But I think they complement each other very well.
next Colorado drive in a 3-point game as we get back into it. And Bodie Schoonover gets credit for a pass breakup. Another big third down play. We just saw 3rd and 3. This was a 3rd and 6, and Bodie got into the mix.
Well, yeah. I mean, we talk to the defensive line all the time. If you can get your hand up, if you can knock down balls every time you do it, they're going to drop 3 or 4% every time on their completion percentage. Those end up being big plays. And really, he had an opportunity to complete the ball right there if he doesn't bat this down. So, good job by Bodie.
Number 48. The ensuing BYU drive, any kind of score might seal the deal for BYU, but the decision is made to go to a punt and pin on a 4th and 9 from the Colorado 34. You're on the headset for the conversation around that decision. Kalani talked about it post-game with us. First of all, you've got a guy in Sam Vanderhaar who has absolute confidence that if you need this from me, I can give this to you. I don't need more room. Here is good. Just maybe the talk about a punt and pin to kind of set him back.
Well, so there's a lot of people talking about this decision. We got 3 former head coaches, or we got 3 head coaches on this staff, myself, Gary Anderson, Kalani, that were talking through the scenario. Aaron Roderick was very critical in this on 4th and 10 because there's really 3 choices you have. You punt it, you go for it, or you kick the field goal.
Right.
And we went through all the scenarios. We felt this one was the best, and obviously it worked out for us. But looking back, I think we make the right decision.
Yeah. Field goal puts you up 6, meaning they've got to go the length of the field to score a touchdown to beat you. But if you punt and pin, you create a long field regardless, and that's what you did here.
Yeah, we felt like lean on the defense. We played good. We were playing better in the second half. In that scenario, knowing that they had to throw, that's where we were so effective against them in the bowl game. I felt good about that situation. Anyway, there was a lot of positives to punting the ball there.
Great special teams execution, as Kelly's teams have been doing all year.
Well, Coach Pop's done a phenomenal job with the special teams. The punter, Sam did a great job pinning down there, and then the gunners got to make the play, which they did. So everything about that execution was good, and just kind of how we came together as a team to get out of that game was big.
Excellent. Defense at that point just needs to keep Colorado from scoring any points. On the final drive, they got 2 minutes to play, and Isaiah Glasker makes the game-sealing play with his 4th career interception.
Well, like I said, I can't say enough about Glasker and the plays that he makes, but it's a team deal. We're all in this thing together. We got to find a way out of this drive. I thought we did a good job of tackling them already in bounds. That ends up being critical, making sure that they were burning clock, and the clock was really against them at this point. Jackson running him down, makes him throw a ball he didn't want to throw, and Glasker there to make another huge play. Okay.
That's a pretty satisfying feeling, knowing that you've got a defender with the ball in his possession to end this thing.
Well, yeah. So once we get that, we know they couldn't do anything other than just use, I guess, their last timeouts. But with 40-something seconds left, we knew we could pretty much run out the clock.
So 24-21 was the final. The comeback from down 14-0 ties the largest comeback for a win in the Kalani Sitake era. The previous one was also down 14-zip on the road at Arkansas a couple years ago.
And I was there for that game watching it too. And again, I think on the headset, sometimes you say, well, that's not the start that we had envisioned, but it's a long game. Fight back, show your resilience and toughness, and come back. And I thought our guys, the last 2 times we faced that, have done a great job.
And the first win when trailing after 3 quarters since the win last season at Utah. That was also a 4th quarter comeback.
Yeah, I mean, again, our offense has been outstanding in those situations. You think about that one, you think about Oklahoma State last year, Utah last year. Coach Roderick and their staff has done a great job in those situations of getting us where we needed to get and the points we needed to be able to wrap it up. And then the defense has done a good job of getting out of those final drives. I think back to SMU, I think back to Baylor last year. We've done a good job of getting out of those last drives when a touchdown beats you or a field goal ties you. We did a good job of getting out of those defensively.
Kalani told us something interesting in the postgame. He said, we knew that Colorado wasn't going to bow down to our defense because BYU's defense is playing elite in elite fashion. But he said, we knew that no one was just going to just take it for granted that BYU is going to dominate that way.
Nobody in the Big 12 is going to do that. Everybody has good offense. Everybody has great offensive coordinators in this league. Every game's going to be a dogfight. I don't care what stats say. We're facing good teams, good offenses, good coordinators every week. Our guys got to make sure they stay hungry and humble and keep working at what's got us to where we're at. But as good as we are, nobody's going to bow down to us.
All right, to the players of the game. We'll start with your player of the game. It comes on defense, and we saw a clip from him a second ago. Bodie Schoonover gets the nod this week.
Well, Bodie, yeah, his physicality, he made plays. The tip at the end of the game was huge. Super fired up for Bodie because he only makes us better. When he plays like this, we become much better. And it's obviously a huge play in this game.
What can you say about his development to this point?
I love where he's at. And he makes us better. He's tough. He adds a physicality to the game that we really need.
Does he have some inside-out versatility up there?
Yep, he does. He's the guy that can play on the edge and he can play inside. There's a lot of positives that Bodie brings to us, and I love coaching him because he's a great kid.
Outstanding. Coach Papinga, Kelly Papinga of Special Teams, gave us his players of the game, and he identified Sam Vanderhaar and Kevin Doe.
Yeah, Kevin made a couple of huge tackles on kickoff, and then obviously down in that punt for Sam late in the game was huge. Sam's been outstanding for us all year. His consistency is huge for us.
Yeah, you can't overlook just how smoothly things are working on special teams. It's so reliable. It's a part of both offensive and defensive game plans, having that good special teams.
Well, we talk about complementary football. That's offense, defense, and special teams. It's definitely a third of the game. It's an important phase. We put a lot of emphasis in it, and Coach Pop does a great job of getting our guys ready each week with great schemes and techniques and everything we need to do to be successful on special teams.
Coach, first ever trip for West Virginia to Provo this Friday night.
Well, I think that will be a good thing for them. It will be eye-opening. The atmosphere, I don't think will catch them off guard. They're used to playing in big stadiums that have loud crowds. But, you know, they do have to travel a little bit. And us having gone there 2 years ago, it's a substantial trip.
2-3 on the year. They just lost at home to Utah. They've had issues at quarterback with an injury, issues at running back, injury related. The numbers right now are a bit of a struggle for them on offense. A stark contrast in possession time right now. BYU is, I think, a top 15 team in possession time, and they're sitting at 129th. That can be an overrated stat depending on what you do with it, but keeping Colorado off the field was a big part of the win Saturday. Well,
that was a huge part, and like I say, I've talked a lot about our offense and how effective they've been, which is huge for us as a team playing good defense. It's going to, I believe, to be similar this week. We got to do a good job of taking care of the football. We got to get out of drives sooner, which can even help and enhance that more.
Last time you saw West Virginia was at their place. Things didn't go real well. A lot has changed in 2 years. Chance to get back home and hopefully play one of your better games.
Yeah, I think we're a different team than we were 2 years ago. I know we are. We're a little bigger, a little more stout than we were at that point. They are going to test our run defense. They just ran the ball for over 260 yards last week on Utah, who's a very good run defense. So these guys know how to run the ball. They're going to try everything they can to establish that. We got to be stout, and we got to be ready to hang in there with them.
That is a strength of their team for sure. You just swept a back-to-back road swing, which is hard to do, and now you get to be home on a Friday night at LaVell Edwards Stadium.
Well, I can't wait. You know, being in our stadium is always special. On a Friday night is going to be even more special, in my opinion. We need the crowd to come out just like they always have and be a huge home field advantage to us. I can't say enough about the fans and how they travel and who they are, but when we're at home, we're in our comfort zone.
All right, Coach, good luck with the short week.